What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
The Saints play the Panthers coming up this weekend inside the Caesars Superdome. And Carolina was very bad a year ago. They earned the number one pick. Now, they didn't have the number one pick because they traded it to the Bears, as we all know. But they were that bad. They earned the number one pick. The Saints are a 4.5-point favorite right now. And here is Dennis Allen, excited for game week here coming up in a couple days.
All right, game week. So excited to be here working. Thought we had good practice today, and we're excited about the opportunity to start off with a division opponent. Look, they got a lot of new faces from a personnel standpoint. Got some new faces in terms of coaching staff standpoint. There'll be a lot of adjusting that'll need to be done as the game moves along, but we're certainly excited about having an opportunity to start out, open up division opponent in our building, and I think our guys will be ready to play.
Now, for me, when you're talking Carolina Panthers, it's going to be, where is quarterback Bryce Young in year number 2? He was not good a year ago, and then, of course, it's always heightened whenever C.J. Stroud, who was picked number 2, goes out there and has a Pro Bowl-type season. And people are excited about C.J. Stroud in Houston. He's got all these receivers. He's got 3 guys to throw it to. He's got a running back in Mixon, and that's an exciting team. And Bryce Young right now, he's got the pressure of trying to not be a bust and being a number 1 overall pick. Not only when you don't work out, but when the number 2 pick's the same position and the team traded up to take you, there's an added expectation. There's an added pressure. And where he's at is obviously going to be pivotal to the success of the Carolina Panthers. And you look at the weapons and you spend a first-round pick on Xavier Leggett. You have Adam Thielen coming back, and you trade for Johnson at the receiver position from Pittsburgh. You had Jonathan Mingo, who was a second-round pick just a year ago. Now, remember, they cut Terrace Marshall. He's no longer on this team, and so they feel good about where they're at receiver. Chuba Hubbard's going to be the running back, but it's all going to come down to Bryce Young in year number 2. Here is Dennis Allen on Bryce Young.
He only played 1 series in the preseason, and it was a pretty effective series. They were able to move the ball down the field. They scored a touchdown. They got him out of the pocket a few times, got him on the move some. Looked like he was making some checks at the line of scrimmage. Looked like he was comfortable in the things that they're asking him to do. I've always felt like this is a guy that's poised in the pocket. I've always felt like this is a guy that understands how to navigate the pocket and move in the pocket. And so, look, I think our ability to affect him in a lot of different ways, whether it be rush, coverage, how we rush him, rush integrity, maybe some different looks, I think that's going to be important. As with any quarterback, it starts with that player. And the more you're able to affect him, the more success you're going to be able to have.
All right, this is a situation in where the Saints have to go out and win this game. All right, you've got a new coaching staff in Carolina. You've got a second-year quarterback that did not look good in year number 1. He looked overmatched most of the time. He only played 1 series in the preseason, like you just heard there from Dennis Allen. They've got okay weapons, but their weapons are either older or they're young players, right? They don't have that sure go-to weapon maybe that really scares you or makes you nervous. Now, they've added a couple of different pieces on defense, and defense wasn't the issue for Carolina. The defense was not bad in Carolina. It's all offensive. And so you bring in a new coach that led the Buccaneers offense, and you're hoping for improvement there. But if you're the New Orleans Saints and you don't go win this game, my God, what does the rest of the season look like? You're at home playing against a team that earned the number 1 pick in last year's draft, a new coaching staff, and you've got basically everything returning. Now, I'm not saying all returning production is good production, but you have the ability, right, to have way better chemistry. Because if you don't, then that's even more troublesome for the Saints, right? You bring back your defense. In large part, now, good, bad, or indifferent, you didn't really add a lot on offense. You kind of bring back the same guys. Now you have a new system and a new coordinator, but the personnel is going to be the same. If you go out and you let Bryce Young beat you at home in the home opener, what does the rest of the season look like? Because I don't have high hopes for Carolina. Right, so it's in a situation where I think Carolina's going to go surprise a lot of us and be a 9-win football team. I 4 or 5 wins is probably what they're looking at. And if they shock us, look, we'll raise our hand. We'll tell you we were wrong. But the Saints have to win this game. They have to go out there and assert their dominance on defense and make enough plays on offense, because every beat writer for the Saints has been telling us, oh, this is just it's a fraction of the playbook. Okay, there's no more fractions, right? It's got to be the whole sum here in this game. It's supposed to be an explosive offense with a lot of moving parts in a good way, and supposed to get the ball in the playmaker's hands with a lot of different looks and shifts and movements and motions and all. Okay, that's great. But now it's time. Now it's time to show us what everybody has been talking about. And again, a lot of new in Carolina this year, where you should be a lot more stable than they are currently right now, even with the new offensive coordinator, because there's so much that you have as far as personnel and certainly defensive staff that is coming back. But here is Dennis Allen on what it's going to look like with Carolina's new coach and on the offensive side.
We played against his scheme and his system last year in Tampa Bay, and you see a lot of carryover into what they're doing. He's a guy that's been committed to being able to run the football. Obviously, they bulked up their offensive line, a couple of additions inside, and they're a big, physical offensive line. I thought they ran the ball well at times during the preseason, so I think that's certainly something that they want to be able to do. I think some of the play action pass, some of the movement passing game with the quarterbacks, obviously part of what they do. So I see a team that's well coached. I thought, look, they came in here against us early in the season last year and beat us pretty good. I thought they out executed us, talking about their offense, Tampa's offense versus our defense. And so I know they're a well-coached group, and I know we're going to have our hands full.
Taylor, how's your feel in this game? New Orleans, Carolina in the Superdome. Again, if you lose this one, I just don't know what your expectation is going to be for the rest of the season. I'm talking to every listener out there. Mine's going to be in the dumpster. It's already not that far from that right now, just because I just don't feel great about where they're at offensively. Again, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see in game number 1 the use of Taysom Hill, and if AK's back on the field, and what Derek Carr can give you with a receiver room that just right now looks really, really thin. So I don't have the highest of expectations, but if they go out and they lose to Carolina, they're at an all-time low.
I actually talked about this exact thing yesterday when I was filling in for you guys. This is a must-win game. We had Nick on. He said the same thing. It's weird to say in week 1. Jake, you look at their schedule. I just pulled it up for the first 6 weeks. If you don't beat Carolina, You go on the road against Dallas. That's going to be tough. You're probably not winning that game. You come home against Philadelphia. You get bad Philly, good Philly.
Yeah.
At Atlanta week 4. At Kansas City week 5.
Yeah, boy.
And then you come back home and you play a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that you struggled against last year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to win this week 1 game. Now, it lightens up for you after that. You got Denver, you got the Chargers, you got the Panthers again.
Whoa.
I know. But you get you're in L.A., in that ruckus L.A. crowd.
That doesn't really matter.
But it lightens up after that. You get the Browns. What are they going to be? The Rams later in the year, the Giants. But that first 6-7 weeks of the season, this is about as must-win as a season opener could be.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think when you look at who you are, what you have coming up, and who your opponent is, I'm agreeing. It's going to be like that Dallas game on the road. That's going to be tough because they have offensive weapons that can challenge your good defense. And then defensively, what does Dallas do really well? They get after the quarterback and they turn you over. What are you terrified of right now as a Saints fan? Blocking a good pass rusher and Derek Carr protecting the football and making good decisions. It's not a great matchup for you. And he listed a couple of the other ones. Like, those games, like those are going to be games that you're probably going to be a dog in. All of them, if not most of them. And so that's why week number 1 as a favorite against a bad Carolina football team feels like it is must win right now. And also, it does lighten up for you outside the Chargers game. I don't know what Taylor was talking about there, but you don't want to start behind the 8 ball. Like that's the last thing that you want to do, because in the NFL, it starts rolling downhill and you think that, we'll get to the point where we're going to have winnable games, but everything's already, down in the dumps and you feel like you can't overcome that. And that's tough to kind of fight your way back in the National Football League. And so, week number 1, Carolina, It's a game that you should win. It's a game that you need to win. It's almost a game that you must win. And we'll see if the Saints can get that done here coming up this weekend inside the Caesars Superdome.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.